I want to start out with the program, and we're going to start out with the managers' awards and go to the cheerleaders and statisticians, and then I want to go with the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and so on down the line, and end up with some of the special awards we have, some of the more prestigious awards. Not that I'm saying that, you know, that we're going to start out with the bad and go to the good with the cheerleaders and so forth, because that's not right. We're going to start this way though, and I want to make sure that these people get the recognition that they deserve. Mrs. Carlson couldn't be here tonight to give out the cheerleading awards because of family. Thanksgiving was tonight, I guess, so she wanted to apologize for that also, about not being able to make it there to give out those awards. Okay, as I call you people up here, I'm going to start out with the managers here. And if you notice on these managers, we stay real close to family on this a lot of times, so we can keep real close track of these people, you know. And they do a lot of great things for us within the program as far as run and get me stuff, you know. And you know, and sometimes they get a little more than that too, you know, maybe even a foot now and then to get after things a little hard. But I tell you, these people do a lot of work, and we're really proud and really great to feel good about having these people around. They catch a lot of flack sometimes, so we'd like to show our appreciation for this by handing them a little award. Ben Evans, why don't you come on up here and receive your award. You can just stand over there. Maybe we'll have these people take a look at you for a while. Jeff Sanger. Corey Rasmussen. Okay, these were the three varsity people that you saw on the sideline most of the time. For the Fresh South, we had Josh Evans. Devin Rang, Mark Sanger. I think these young men deserve a hand for their work and things that they've done. Could we have the cheerleaders come up here, please? Could I have all the cheerleaders come on up here? I think we have 5, if I remember right here tonight. Jana DeWard, Sue Traukel, Laurel Jan, Chris Gunther, Lori Gabrielson. Amanda Ramos could not make it tonight. Jana. Sue. Laurel. Chris. Lori. People, there's something I'd like to... Did I get the right people? Did I get the right people? Yeah. There's something I'd like to mention here in regards to, you know, these young ladies up here, and I think that's what they are, as young ladies. And I tell you, I think it's a good deal having you know, people around that are willing to make some commitments with the football team and do some things and be ladies about it. Not, you know, sometimes in the cheerleading situations we say, well, they're just cheerleaders. And I tell you, I think these young ladies put a lot of work in, and they really felt a part of a football program. And you know, and I'm very proud of them. I can truthfully say that I'm very proud of the things they've done and the way they conducted themselves as ladies in our program. So I think they really deserve a hand. Okay, we've got 8 girls that work with statisticians. As statisticians, we had 4 in varsity and 4 in Fresh South. Nanette Smith, will those people please come forward? Nanette Smith is one of our seniors, and also we've given out pins to the senior gals that have, and I think Nanette, if I remember right, has been with about 3 years. So, Tara Timmerman, Rachel Thompson. You stay right here. Carrie McNeese. Now, these are the 4 gals that compiled our varsity stats for us this year. We got 3 senior gals that received the pins for well, being senior statisticians for us, and we're very happy with that. All right, Fresh South people, come on up here. Christy Kelly, Stephanie Barker, Allison Lear, and Brandy Ritchie. Is Allison here? Okay, another thing, you know, if these gals, in regards to the standing on the sideline and taking stats and people, that's not an easy chore. A lot of times, they don't get a chance to watch the game. We've got 2 girls working on defense and 2 on offense. And, you know, I don't show the stats to the ball players. They don't get a chance to see them. It's just a matter that the only time they're going to see those stats was when I was working them up at school, of course. Some people are picking on my shoulders on that, but basically the only time they see those stats is right now. I hand them out in their packets to see tonight because, you know, I feel those stats are very important, but, you know, we need to look over our shoulder and look at the scoreboard because I think that's probably the most important stat that we need to be concerned about as a team. And, you know, I think these gals up here also exemplify some of the same things that we talk about in our football program, being ladies and working hard and doing the things. You know, we can have people on the sideline that are just screwing around and not taking things serious, and the stats could be all screwed up. But I don't think these gals were like that. I think they did a decent job in our stats, and I'm very proud of them, and I thank them for that. Okay, the freshmen. If I could have you people come on up here. I know we got a few people that are going to be gone, but I think we've done pretty well on this. As I call your name out, let's have you come on up, receive your packets, and Coach Perkins is going to help me. We've got a couple of, I think we have 1 or 2 freshman boys that have lettered. As I call you up here, let's have you go on down the line and stay up here until we get everybody up here. See what our future looks like here in football. And I might add, it looks pretty good at 7-0. This is where it starts right here. Josh Johnson, Jeremy Olson, Corey Mattoon, these gentlemen received some award certificates. What I did with the award certificates about as far as I had their certificates and medals awarded to the playoff teams, and I divided to make sure everyone had something to remember this football team by, because, you know, we consider the 56-man squad as our football team, because they practice together and they come out and spend the same time in practice from the freshmen through seniors, so we're very proud of that. Shane Frank, Paul Lundgren, Craig Tierhart, Jason Arndorfer, John Clayton, is John here? Probably saw John here. Chad Gertis, Eric Flayton, John Gilner, Jason Kallstorff, Nathan Smith. Nathan was one of our varsity letter winner. Nathan worked on our specialty teams with kickoffs and so forth. Ted Smith. Justin DeLeon. Okay, we have a few of those freshmen missing, but I might add some of the things here. You know, and I looked at start of this year, thinking our fresh South people, boy, where are we going to, you know, come up with a lineman? I was worried about that, but it's, you know, when you look at the backs, and we had 2 backs that averaged 12.4 yards per carry. We had another back that averaged 8.4 yards per carry. I think that tells you about something what's going on up front. And I think this is where it starts, and this is our future right here in football with the freshmen. They'll graduate to sophomores next year, and I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, Jason Schubert played split end and some corner. Jared Haxton, quarterback and safety, and also played some backup quarterback and varsity. He's also a letter winner. Brent Chelberg, dressed varsity, played halfback, defensive back. Eric Eisman, dressed varsity, also halfback and defensive end. Kerry Meyer, dressed varsity, played fullback, linebacker. Eric Cooley, center, some nose on defense. Paul Francis, with tackle. Paul's growing. Andy Hunt, he's also growing. Travis Rafdahl, and guard. Is Travis here? Okay, Stacy Gopal. And some Muppets and guard, but I think he's going to end up being some tackle here on the road because get some more tackles, I guess. Casey Wright, is Casey here? Okay, Eric Marchand. Eric was an offensive end. And Gary Odell. Okay, people right here, I think, is where our leadership comes from on our Fresh South squad. When you talk about a football team that goes 7-0 and the second best team in the conference we beat, so they beat 41-14. I think that's that's a pretty good spread. And when the year starts, you always look at your Fresh South and you say, well, I wonder, because it's all new. But I tell you, these guys get out and done some extra work. They thought that was a great deal, getting up in the morning and going out there doing a little extra running. But I tell you, when you're 7-0, I think they can say it's worth it. And I'm very proud of this group of people and the things that Coach Evans and Coach Rang has done with them. So I think they deserve a hand. Okay, juniors. Rick Sanger. I might say a little bit as we go on to varsity here. This gentleman's close to my heart because I think he's a heck of a football player, even though he is my son. I think he does a lot of things for our football team, playing strong safety and offensive back. Rushed for nearly 1,000 yards, I guess around 900 yards this year. 6.8 yards per carry. A lot of times I don't get an opportunity. I don't like to take the opportunity to talk about your own son about things, but I think it's important that I do so sometimes because I think he's a good football player and he deserves those things. Your being here and the group of people we have, and I might add that, I tell you, I think it's a special thing to see so many people here tonight and pay tribute to these athletes because I think it means something to them. You may not, times think that, but it really does. And I think that's a special thing. John DeLeon. And I tell you what, right here, this young man has got a future for us in football. I think he works hard. He's a gentleman on and off the field. John played offensive end, tight end for us. Also played some defensive corner. And I tell you, being a coach's kid's not an easy deal, people. Being a coach, just make that point in your mind because I tell you, sometimes you get to play because you are a coach's kid. That's the only reason you get to play because you're a coach's kid. If you're a great athlete, you say, well, I should be. You know what I mean? That's the way it is. But I tell you, John's a good football player, but he's also a gentleman. I'm very proud of that. John Madsen. This is another situation right here. You start talking about 115 pounds and someone that wants to play football. It isn't a matter of telling John to go, you got to stick your head in there and hit somebody. That's not it. I got to tell John, you're 120 or you're 110 or you're 105 pounds. Now use your skills to play the game of football. And I tell you something, he's got a heart for the game. And I tell you, I hate to think, if he was 150 or 160 pounds, a great big 160 pounder, what would happen? See? But very proud. He's been with us in football all the way through the program. Eric Rasmussen. Eric played tight end for us. Some corner safeties on the kickoff teams, played end on the kickoffs. And another situation here, people, of a gentleman that's going to see some future in football. Because I think he's got a lot of skills to play the game. He's got good feet, and he's going to get bigger. And so I'm looking forward to that next year. This is our future for our football team. They're going to be seniors next year, so I'm really looking forward to that. Kevin Eisman. Thing I'd like to mention about Kevin. I said, you know, as the year got over, probably one of our unsung heroes here, because, you know, the quarterback never lost a snap. I can't remember this year at all ever dropping a snap or not getting the ball from the center. Now, that's a tribute to both those people. We never, ever bobbled a snap or didn't go where it was supposed to go in that situation. And I think that's a real consistent point we seem to overlook that. The unsung things. Defensive. I worked very hard for Kevin on an all-conference team defensively because I felt he was a very deserving person because of the things he'd done both ways. And I tell you what, if that quarterback doesn't take the snap and he don't put it in that back's hand and get to where we have to go, nothing happens. And I think Kevin was a master of that, and I'm very proud of the things he's done as a quarterback and a defensive back for us. Kerry Hudspeth, I do not believe is here tonight. And Kerry next year is going to, you know, we got him in some offensive tackle or defensive tackle and some offensive back, and you know, I think he's got a lot of tools to play the game of football, and I'm looking forward to that. Chris Trolson. The thing that sticks in my mind most about Chris Trolson is when we go on the scout team, he's playing quarterback. You know, sometimes our scout people say, well, we're just hamburger. We're just the hamburger squad, and we're supposed to get beat up. Chris doesn't feel that way. Chris feels when he's playing quarterback, he only gets to play quarterback 2 times, and then on Friday night. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, he gets a chance to play quarterback, and then once in a while on Friday times in our warm-up. And he thinks, you know, if he doesn't complete the pass every time, he's upset. And I've got to discipline him to the point to say, hey now, Chris, we've got to try our best and try to, you know, give him a test, but you know, we're not going to complete him every time. He works for perfection on those things, and you know, I'm very proud of that. Some of the things sometimes he gets a little bit over, you know. But I tell you, I think Chris is deep inside is truthful to the things he wants to do, and I'm happy for him on that. Derek Sink. Derek traded off some time at an offensive tackle, and then some defensive tackle, and I think 200 pounds. He played a lot of places in the conference, and I tell you, I've already had him sit down at my desk, looking at him face to face, and telling him, Derek, how bad do we want to be a football player? You're good enough to do what you want to be, and how much work do you want to do? And I think we'll see maybe some seriousness here next year to be the best I can be. Derek's got some talent. Todd Hillman. Todd's one of those gentlemen that gets a lot of action on the scout defense, and the thing that sticks out in my mind about Todd is, and I make jokes about this, boy, if you take all that tape off, Todd, I'm just afraid when we bring you in from practice, you're just going to fall in a pile on the ground. He just kind of laughs and he gets it all back on. Next time we go on back out there to war. And well, we need people like this around to work our football program with the situation we have 11 on 11. Brian Friesman, offensive center, defensive end. And boy, I tell you, this is our hope next year as far as getting things done offensive center, because he's got some big shoes to fill. I think Brian can do it. Brian's a very intelligent person. He understands the game of football, and I'm looking forward to that opportunity working with him there. Chad Trolson. Chad Trolson's had one of those years where, and I hasten to say this, but again tonight, problem with the knees early in the season. Back to Rockford game. Come back, spotted a few times, got into play. Played quite a bit. I guess in the playoff game, we've been bothered with the knee all year long. Goes to wrestling practice tonight, and the other knee starts giving him problems. You know, it's one of those things you say, why? And I know Chad saying that to himself is, why me? I've sit out most of the football season. It's my turn to get after things, but you know, I don't have answers for that. But I have answers for, you know, people saying, hey, you do your best, get after it, things are going to turn out right. You know, that's about all I can say. But Chad's a junior. He'll be back next year, chomping at the bits. Benji Swears, offensive guard. Is Benji here? Yeah. Offensive guard, here's a gentleman that probably wants to play pretty bad. And also played some linebacker for us. Boy, there's not a more honest person in this room right now than this gentleman right here. He wants to play the game of football. And I tell you, he's a junior. He'll be back next year. I'm looking forward to that. Sean Shahan. I'll tell you, things that clicks in my mind about Sean is two mud puddles, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. And I tell you, but you talk about someone that's pretty excited about, you know, his first year wasn't out for football last year, pretty excited about getting into a situation. Turn around on the sideline and look at him, my God, he's fired up. He wants to, you know, that's important to him to be there. So hopefully we have him back, and he already told me, I'll be back next year. That was fun. He's going to 260-pound tackle. We can always use those people. Chris Cooley, tight end. I'll tell you something, look at this gentleman right here. 6'3", 240 pounds next year. So, I think, you know, the confidence factor and so forth, another year being a senior, I just think there's a future for Chris in playing some football. I'm looking forward. People, this is going to be our senior group next year. This is our leadership group, and I'll tell you, I'm looking forward. I think they deserve a hand. And people, if you're wondering what kind of order I have about bringing these people up here, there isn't any significance to the order, people. I just pulled them off the roster basically by their numbers when I was filling out the packets and so forth. So we're going to go to the seniors here. We're going to start out with number 4, Jeff Fuji. Jeff is a 3-year starter for us. His goal was this year, he says, I want to get 1,000 yards. People, he's 1,100, I think 1,120 yards he had. I think something like 4.5 yards per carry. I tell you, we're going to miss this gentleman right here. I tell you, I think it was intimidating in the conference for teams to see a fullback at 215 pounds. I was tempted to put 225 down there and tempt him a little more, or threaten him a little more. But I said, well, you know, I tell you, 215-pound fullback sounds good. And I tell you, Jeff is a force in our offense with that size and 3 years experience. I tell you, he's a good football player, so we're going to miss this gentleman. Doug Weiland. I tell you, you get the big and small of it all, I guess. Doug played some corner, second-team all-conference, and I might mention that Jeff Coogee was a first-team all-conference football player this year. I think this is his second year as a first-team all-conference. Doug Weiland was a second-team all-conference pick at an end, and I think he was equally as good a corner for us. Size had no bearing on the situation at all as far as I felt with Doug. I think Doug had a lot of heart for the game. In fact, Doug talked to me a number of times about wondering what he should do, because I think his first love is track and being able to break the 2-minute barrier in half. But he thought about, well, maybe I should run across country in the fall rather than, you know, getting after the football. But I tell you something, I'm really glad that he chose to come out for football, because he was a real asset to our football team. And I think he deserves the honors he received. Corey Erdahl. Corey Erdahl, you see him on the field. He didn't play, people. But I tell you, I guess the thing that sticks out in my mind about Corey more than anything else is his desire to want to be a part of something. And going to the playoff game at North Iowa, if a few people remember, there's lots of tears and lots of things that happened after that ball game that were very depressing and discouraging. Corey felt the same things everybody else did. I think that tells you something about where his friends and where his feelings were. And I guess I told Corey, I said, you know, you've been through a lot tougher things than this, haven't you? He says, yeah, I guess, but you know, there's tears in his eyes too. So I tell you, I'm very, very proud to have Corey as part of our football team, as one of our captains this year, honorary captain. So him being there was a special thing for me also. Tony Wright, I don't think Tony is here tonight. Tony played defensive end and offensive back, and I would say Tony's made some very drastic improvements as a football player, and I'm very proud of the things he's done. I think there's some things in his life that are pretty tough. I tell you, in a football field, you know, I was very proud of the improvement things he made. So he was, you know, an honorable mention all-conference person. You know, as a senior like that, you like to see good things happen to him, and you know, I'm very, very happy for him. Chad Lang. Chad's not here tonight. Chad was played in all of our specialty teams. I suppose he was our one of our speedsters on the specialty teams, and did a nice job for us. I'm real pleased with having him there. Travis Hagan. Travis was first team all-conference, played nose guard, offensive guard for us, and I think I said the same thing last year. He's a little spark plug for our you know, I think about early in the year about how teams felt. Well, we're gonna single this guy that knows, you know, and he probably had, you know, 15 tackles a ball game. About the time the third ball game come around and they start seeing the tapes, they decide, well, maybe we better double this guy all the time because he caused some problems under his quickness and so forth. And that's what did happen. He's probably drawing a double all the time over the nose there. So, but I tell you, if he draws a double, then somebody else is hoping to make things happen. So Travis is a very good football player. We're going to miss this gentleman. John Harley. Is John here? Here's a gentleman that, you know, I guess there's one thing I feel right here is I wish you'd have had more of a chance to get in a situation where an offensive tackle, because I really believe he was. I had him on specialty teams, spotting a number of places. I think John is a good football player, but he played behind a couple of good football players, and you know it's unfortunate. But I tell you, John got a chance to do his thing on the specialties, and we're very proud to have him. He did an excellent job. Brian Doble is our transfer from Garner. No, I tell you, this gentleman's a Brit boy the whole way. He's a West Hancock boy the whole way, and I'm very, very thankful that he chose to do just that, come over and play football for Brit. I kid him about it all the time. I says, well, Garner beat us. Do you wish you'd have played for Garner now? So everybody says, no, I never even thought about it. He says, we were conference champs, so I guess that's the difference. And Brian played offensive tackle and also played some defensive tackle, so we're going to miss this gentleman. Scott Van Dusseldorf. Scott's spotted in an offensive guard, linebacker. He's probably he was our leading tackler on defense. I don't think I can say enough about this gentleman. I tell you, if you want to get fired up in the ball game, all you got to do, people, is come on down the sideline with me and just look him in the eyes once, and you'll know what I mean. I tell you, this guy's ready to play the game, and he exemplifies, I guess, what football is about. Getting ready and preparing yourself and getting into it. And I tell you, this gentleman we're going to miss greatly. He's a great young man, a great football player. Tim Rayburn. Like I said last year, with this gentleman, that if I had to pick a most improved, probably this would be one of them. And I really feel that, you know, in my heart that I made a statement I was probably impacted, because I really feel he's a great football player. When you just start talking about a center and quarterback getting together and doing things they did, and how many times did we run at that center, I think that exemplified with Tim. Tim's he's a very good technician. I sat in my office one day and I said, I had one of the recruiters come on and I said, I want to show you something. I want to show you a block, a holding block. They happened to be in the North Iowa ball game. I said, I want you to take a look at this and see what you think. He said, boys, that's a great block. That's a really great block, because that's the way you teach them. Well, I says, you know, we like the, you know, run block, but when you pass block, you're allowed to, and this is exactly what happened. I showed him film. He said, boys, that's a great block. He said, that's the way we teach our kids to block. And he said, that's picture perfect. But in this particular ball game, it was a 15-yard penalty. Tim come over to the sideline and says to me, he says, I don't know what's going on here. You know, and you know, those are key things in our That's the way I tell them. That's exactly the way I want you blocker to play, just the way you tell them. And I think Tim did that. Tim's a good football player. We're going to miss this gentleman right here, especially when you talk about a center and a middle line like that doing things. So I wish the best for him in the future. Mike Kaziski, I think this was the other gentleman I talked about being most improved. And I tell you, we went through a line of Kaziski people, and I think this is the first one we had in football. And I tell you, boy, it's great. This guy is, you think he's quiet, don't you? See him on a football player. I think this on the football field, this attitude comes out a little bit with him. He's very aggressive and very gentlemanly-like sometimes, but on a football field, he does a very excellent job. So I think we're going to miss this gentleman. And you know, these big 6'2", 210-pound tackles are hard to come by. And I think Buzz did an excellent job for him. We're really great and thankful that he came to us. Blaine Barker. Blaine Barker played in a lot of different positions for us this year at Rambler. Linebacker was the basic position behind a couple of pretty good people. Blaine also played some offensive guard. Blaine got a slow start, missing some practice early in the season. I think Blaine's got a lot of talent. I think Blaine is a talented person. And I tell you, I wish for the best for him down the road here in basketball. I hope he's able to get some things done, because I feel in football maybe it was not one of his better years. He was shortchanged a little bit, but he played behind some very good people. And we wish the best for him down the road here. Jason Lear. Jason Lear never was out for football as a sophomore, I believe. Came out as a junior. Started coming along, and I think probably if I talk about a most improved this year, I believe this would be the gentleman right here. As the year went on, he got better as the year went on. I think he was up with one of the top 3 or 4, I think, in tackles at a defensive end. You know, that 6'4" body and 195 pounds, I think he can do a lot of things. And probably should have had him playing a little more at tight end, but he's having so much fun at defensive end, I just thought I'd leave him there. So, people, this is our seniors for this year. Before you gentlemen leave, I would like to have the captains stay up here and give them the pictures. And I think these people deserve a hand. I don't think we have to go any farther than our captains. You know, these are the gentlemen that were picked by their peers or their football peers to represent them as captains. And I really feel they made a very excellent choice. Because, you know, the number of things they've done as athletes, as leaders, is remarkable to me. You know, the getting up and doing the extra work and the running. And you know, I think still the most important thing. You know, we talk about winning, we talk about records and so forth, the win and loss. But you know, I still think it really comes down to one thing. It comes down to the desire and the will to win is probably as important as anything. And I tell you, I think these people are really, really strong-willed people. I think they're exemplified throughout our entire team, the desire to win and be the best they can be. I think these gentlemen right here exemplify that very well. At this time, I asked the captains to do something for me. So if you would do that, please, right now, and then a little explanation when they get done with this, because I think there's a lot of things here that are involved at times. I feel a special thing about the senior people, because you have them around for a number of years. They do so many things, you get to know them so well, that, you know, I have a feeling, you know, for the mothers and so forth, where their senior boys are out there in the football field playing the game, and, you know, all they can think about is saying, well, I hope he doesn't get hurt. Dads are all, you know, get in there, all this kind of stuff. I said, well, you know what I should do is we're putting up with this whole situation, but you know, when I called, it was like about 5 o'clock today, or 3 o'clock. He says, well, I don't have that many people. But to make a story short, then I said, well, you know, the wives of the coaches put up with a lot also. And I guess this is just a little thank you to them for putting up with the coaches through the season. And I'd also like to extend that thank you to the parents of all the athletes, because I think you do put up a lot. But we just want you to know that, you know, we really appreciate that too. You know, we appreciate all the things you do. We hopefully, you know, we're not there to offend, and sometimes all we get is, you know, all you're getting is your athletes at school, you know, into a program and no work at home. But, you know, we truly want you to know that we really appreciate having these people, and hopefully they're learning something where they're with us, because I think that's important. Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, we have some special awards to give out. At this time, though, Coach Perkins, it's his turn to have a chance to, and Coach doesn't talk very much normally, but we're going to give him a chance here to see if he, no, that's not true. Coach Perkins.
Thank you, Coach Sanger. I thought we had a great football season, and I guess what always comes to my mind first, you know, I think the greatest thing in life is when human beings get together and people help each other to accomplish goals. And I think that's, when you do that here and what I see our football team do, and they're unselfish about it, I think that's the whole key to how things get done. I'm very proud of what we got done defensively. When we started the football season, I thought, wow. We came in and we ran that mile around that track the first day. I said, these guys have been successful down in the fresh soft level, but I don't know, we don't have the size. We didn't have quite the speed that we had before, and I was pretty leery, but Coach Sanger's always real positive about that. He says, potential's always there, it's just got to be developed. And I'm thinking, okay. But I noticed that one of the biggest things I thought this football team did was they were so very coachable. When we talk about making a defensive move, we said, get the outside hand up, get the rip hand under, get under the pads, go. And these guys believed in our defense, and they did it, and they got better and better each ball game. I was very, very impressed with what we did defensively. You know, to you seniors, I miss you guys an awful lot. We had 7 up front and 1 defensive halfback, but you know, even more than what you guys did football, we talked about one of our big goals. We set a lot of goals, and these guys set very, very high goals. We set goals that we were going to be part of the Athletic Association's new drug program this year. You may have noticed the patches that we had on our shoulder pads. We were aware of the program, we took it to the guys, and they wanted to do it, and they even wanted to get another patch for their other jerseys, so we had it on both of them. They signed pledge cards, our cheerleaders, our statisticians all got involved in it. And I really think, when you look at our world today, in our country, we push alcohol at a lot of people, and to have a good time. We just don't think alcohol is going to go, and we don't think these guys can get the best out of themselves if they're going to get involved in other things. And I'm very, very proud of that commitment you guys made. And I just think that you guys as seniors, I hope what you got here, you'll look down the road later and we got such great memories of you. And then it'll be something in your life that maybe you learned when you wanted to pull together and to do things as a team. You really led our football team. I'm very grateful for what you got done. I just think a lot of things got to go good. I guess practice, a lot of people don't like to practice. They like to play Friday night. See, our theme is Friday Night Live. I think we learned, you know, running on maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, and then practicing makes Friday Night Live come to a reality. I thought that's what they did great. We're real good practice people. That means a lot to coaches. You got to go out and work with somebody every day. If somebody comes out with whining and moaning, wants to come out late, doesn't want to get things done, they're always very open to practicing, and I'm very grateful about that. I just think, like our scout team, our guys on that kind of stuff take pride. You don't make a football team with 11 players on the field. It takes a lot of dedicated people right on down through the ranks. Well, we won 20 out of 26 football games in our program, from 7th grade through 12th grade. So we obviously got to have some good football players. I think we've got a lot of dedicated coaches on our staff too, and I'm proud of each and every one of them. Especially you guys on the lower level. They got to come to ball games twice. They got to do a lot of extra work, and they're the ones that teach it. And then when it gets up to Coach Sanger and I, it isn't near as hard because of the great job I think these guys do. Hey, cheerleaders, statisticians, I'm grateful to you. A great bunch of gals, and you contribute a lot to our football team. I don't know, we didn't make the Unidome. We didn't win a state championship. That was one of our goals. We won a conference. We did a lot of good things. So I think we should, guys, as you go out, don't focus on something and say you're disappointed. Because what we did was great, and I think a lot of things have come out of that for you in the future. I think what these seniors leave is a great challenge to you juniors. Where are we going from here? We've had great senior leadership the last few years, and it's going right on down the road. You seniors who come back in next year, and our sophomores come up to be juniors. I think we can set those same kind of goals. I think a lot of people in this community, and you parents, I think you see how important that football is, and I think it's important only to the aspect of what it contributes to our school and to our communities. We've got to look at it like that. If there's anything I can caution on, I felt a lot of stress this year. I felt we put high goals on ourselves, and I think we have to take a look at that. And I think you guys coming up, you're dedicated, you're good, play the game, play it, and let's have fun with it. Let's don't heap pressure on ourselves to say we got to win. Anytime you think you got to do something, it causes you to tighten up and do things. I think you do things great. We're grateful to all you parents and people in the communities that have supported the pop, the pizza, the breakfasts. Hey, they're great. And I'm real proud to be part of our staff. And I'll leave you just with one thing. You know, if you really love sports, let's be a good sport. Okay? Thanks, everybody.
Well, every year we have an award. It's called the Offensive Lineman of the Year Award, and we've had this for 7 years now, ever since I came. And the reason I asked Coach Sanger if we could start this is because of the offensive linemen, you know, not getting the recognition and the glory and all those things. And the coaches vote on this. It's the 5 coaches that are around the building, and we vote on this as far as which player not only has the ability, but the leadership, desire, the kind of things that you don't really see very much sometimes, but they make a big difference. And I've got a little story about the person that is going to receive this tonight. I came here kind of from a naive background, I guess, but the first thing when I walked in the building, I saw 2 guys. They were Nick Smith and Pat Kelly. And I came from kind of a long-haired eastern town, and I thought, gee, who are those Marines, you know? And then somebody said they were freshmen, you know, and I kind of went, freshmen? I said, good, I'm a fresh off coach. But the next thing, though, was I heard this next person. And that might give you a little clue. And he was hollering, I ain't picking up your shoes. Okay, and then I found out later the guy who was yelling at was his brother. And this guy was supposed to be a manager. And he was in 5th grade or 6th grade or something like this. But I soon learned that this particular person had a God-given ability to use his mouth. And I'll tell you, sometimes in 5th and 6th grade, I thought I'd like to stuff something in it. But as it went on, one of the things that I think really made this special is that, yes, he still uses his mouth, and he does it in such a positive way. You know, it's one thing to run your mouth and be negative, but it's another thing to use that ability in a very positive way. And I think it really typifies what a lot of these guys do. They use, in an extreme fashion, some of the gifts that they've been given. And he really uses, you know, his voice, too, to to get people fired up. But not only that, if you'd have been in the weight room, you'd have seen that it wasn't just a verbal commitment. He was in there pumping iron and getting big and talking, you know, about the season and everything. And so he really did both. You know, we talk about, you know, talking the talk, and he did that. He got people pumped up and fired up, but he also walked the walk. And that's what I guess was really one of the factors that's proudest of. He did both things. You know, he used the gifts that he had to get people fired up and to encourage and get them going, get them motivated. But then he did, you know, his part too. And so I guess I'm real proud to present this to Travis Hagan. I don't know, Vance, maybe you can tell us whether you beat him up or not. The next award, if you can see this is a new one, and it's the Defensive MVP Award. And we kind of decided on this year after a couple guys mentioned it, and Coach Sanger thought it'd be a good idea, so we came up with the D Award. Basically, again, the coaches voted on who we thought was one of the most outstanding players, and we made a stipulation that if they won one award, they couldn't win the other one, and so nobody hogged all the awards. But Coach Sanger mentioned earlier about this particular person, and if you watch Monday Night Football and you've seen Mike Singletary, and you see the close-up where, you know, he's staring at the quarterback, and you see those blazing eyes, I don't know how quarterbacks can handle it. But I'm sure this year, in our conference, we had some quarterbacks that were staring into some eyes that looked very similar. Because if there's one thing that typifies this person, it's intensity. Like Mike Singletary might not be the biggest, the fastest, and all those things, but you knew he was intense, and you knew he was going to smack you. And so this goes to Scott Van Dusseldorp.
Okay, we got 3 special awards here, people, and we're going to round down here. I want to start out with, so I know where I'm at here. Would Ann Hagan please come on up here? Travis, where are you at? Right. I guess I wanted to give an award to someone that, you know, a super fan. I guess I want to read what it says in here. Gridiron, super fan, Ann Hagan. And I think as far as a fan, the things that would exemplify a great fan, I think Ann would be that person. I got to tell you a little story about I had my brother-in-law come to a football game. I don't remember which one it was. He sat beside. I'll tell you something. I won't repeat the words he told me about when he left that night. But he is not a super football fan or anything like that. But he, you know, watches the game once in a while. He's a cowboy. He actually goes on the drives in Montana. And he says, I've never seen anything like that in my life. And I thought if he could say that, you know, this really exemplifies and thank you, Ann Hagan.
It's my turn to say something. It's a good thing because that horn is just about out, and that's the last one. And somebody said, are you going to have it next year? Absolutely. If the people in front of me can stand it, I can stand it. I had a lot of moms say, just because you're not going to be a mom next year. And I said, what? What? I have 26 children that work here alone that aren't graduating, and I told a lot of the guys I was adopting them, so I'll be back.
Kevin Rang, please come forward. I tell you, Kevin has been with us now like, I think this is the third year, is this correct? And he's our offensive Fresh South coach. And I think I can remember maybe you losing one ball game as our Fresh South coach, is that correct? In 3 years, and I tell you, I think that's pretty remarkable. And the other thing I want to point out about Coach Rang is, I was going through the stats this year, and I want to make sure you look through this too, and I get a lot of static about the number of passes that are thrown and so forth. Coach Rang threw less passes than the varsity coach as far as he's 7-0. Okay, I tell you something. I think Coach coached the offense in the Fresh South very well. The number of points that the offense have put on the board and his knowledge of the offensive scheme is excellent. And I tell you, I just wanted to, on behalf of the football team, show our appreciation for the things that he's done for the football team. So thank you. And the last award, and certainly not our least, people, I tell you something, this is one that, this goes to a person that's very dear to me as a person, as a gentleman, and as a coach. Coach Perkins. And Coach Perkins, will you please come forward? I tell you, this guy amazes me. Last year he said to me, he says, we only have 1 or 2 people coming back from our defensive unit. And I think year in and year out, probably we are the best defensive team in the conference. I have no worries about, I'm not putting any pressure on him now. Don't think I was trying to do that. But I tell you something, his knowledge of the game and getting the most out of a football team on the defensive scheme, most of the football team in any regards, I think exemplifies what he's all about. And there's so many things that I could talk to you about as far as Coach Perkins is concerned, about being a gentleman, being a person, being truthful, and being straightforward with people. And I tell you something, I admire that a lot in a person. And I just think he's a great person. And on my little plaque here that I'd like to present to him, I put down the Houdini of defense. I wanted to do something with the tape and sometime where I could catch him on the sideline going through all this stuff. And but I wasn't able to do that, Coach. But I just want you to know I really appreciate that. And there's one other story that goes along with this. And I tell you something, it's so doggone funny. I can go home at night and lay down in bed and laugh about this. And it's when Scott Van Dusseldorf, our defensive signal callers on the sideline, I tell you something, there's 2 people looking at each other, and boy, believe me, they're intense. They're into the game big time, and he's trying to get signals out. And I wanted to go over and say to him, I said, Coach, what are you guys communicating about? Because I'd like to get in on this. It sounds like it's fun. But I think they had a great thing going there with their signal calling and so forth. And I tell you something, this gentleman deserves a lot of credit, and I'd just like to give him a hand. This is the extent of our program, but just a couple words. In regards to football, and we talk to the kids, and I just want to point out one thing. The very first thing we talked to our gentlemen about in the fall of the year is about being students in school, because that's what we're about, people. Getting our things done, being educators. But I tell you something, people, there's a lot of education that happens out on a football field that'll never get done in any kind of classroom, people. And I tell you where it is. It's when you can walk up to an athlete and you can look him right square in the eyes, heart to heart, after a good football season, and tell him, people, you need to get your work done in the classroom because it's damn important. You need to get your things done in your life as a family, as a person. That's damn important. When they'll look back at you and start believing that, people, it's worth it. That's what it's all about. And, I think our community, our people in our community, I can say a lot to them about that, because I think there's a lot of things that we've accomplished as West Hancock, as a family, as a community, that are darn important. And I tell you, it'll never show up on any kind of football record. I don't care what you say. You can fill them records to hell any place you want to. Those things don't show up there. I said people are people, and communities are communities, and I think their dedication to working hard at things, and I think that shows up. And I tell you, so I'm very proud of you people. I'm very proud of the people that, you know, that show interest in our programs and our school, because that's darn important to me. That's my life, people. That's my life. I chose that as my life, and all the people that's sitting up here have chose that for their life too. And you know, sometimes there's a hell of a lot bad. There's a lot of things that are pretty tough for you to come and face and say, you know, when you walk off the field in a Garner ball game, the first thing I'd like to do, my first emotion, is to go over and smack somebody. But I tell you something, that's not teaching what we stand for as educators, because that's the control we have to have within ours, to know that we got to go back on Monday morning again and get back to work and do our things. That's darn important. And I tell you, I think the world, this group of young men, every group of kids is different. The seniors always have their own identity, and this group of seniors had a definite identity, and I'm very proud of them. I enjoyed working with them immensely. And I can attest to the thing that Coach Perkins says too about the pressure and the added pressures. I guess I accept that. I enjoy it though. Before I leave, there's a couple, you know, I'd like to point out that I really enjoy seeing some of the athletes like Matt and Vance and Nick Smith, who's still playing football over at Wartburg. And I think it's really good to see you people. I maybe miss some other people. I think it's great to see you athletes come on back and be a part of this too, you know. And I think there's nothing greater to go to a football game and see these people from past years come up and congratulate our athletes and so forth, because I think it has some meaning and it's important to them. And that's West Hancock. That's what's about. That's the end of our program. And thank you very much for coming, people. One other thing, people, before I go. This is, boy, I tell you, I'd like to, Mr. Tweeten, I'd like to thank him very much for the support he's given us through the football season. I tell you, you can count on a gentleman call me on Saturday morning and want to get some information put in the paper. And we thank you immensely, Roger, for.
Right. I talked to these last night, and they're